Myanmar in the grip of unrest. The military coup on February 1st unleashed a wave of protest across the country and a chorus of international condemnation. Now there's a growing expectation that Myanmar be reined in by its neighbours.
The United Kingdom supports the role of regional organisations, in particular ASEAN, in resolving the crisis.
So is the official photo.
It's a view shared by Washington and Beijing, but just how much leverage does ASEAN have? The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, over its 54-year history, has kept each other's politics off limits.
Very often you will see ASEAN countries sort of very carefully nudging each other, but not really interfering with each other's domestic affairs.
But there are signs the coup and the crackdown on protesters is shaking that tradition. An ASEAN meeting just this month heard blunt criticism of Myanmar's military, most notably from Indonesia.
Restorasi demokrasi.
We must pursue the restoration of democracy.
Harus terus didorong.
Indonesia underlines that the will, the interest and the voices of the people of Myanmar must be respected.
Harus dihormati.
Indonesia has taken a leading role in the regional response. Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi was the first to hold face-to-face talks with the junta's top diplomat in a meeting at Bangkok's airport. But beyond calling for restraint, ASEAN members have shown little appetite for sanctions against the military.
Question is, what can make a difference to them, and if you do impose sanctions, who will hurt? And it will not be the military or the generals who will hurt. It will be the Myanmar population who will hurt.
Myanmar is proving a test for ASEAN's regional diplomacy. And any peaceful solution comes with a dilemma: how to engage Myanmar's generals without condoning the coup.
And for more, I'm joined by Michael Vatikiotis. He's Asia Director of the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue and is based in Singapore. Welcome, Mr. Vatikiotis. Does a regional grouping like ASEAN hold the key to a peaceful resolution of the situation in Myanmar?
I doubt it holds the key, but I think that it should keep looking for the key. And I mean by that I think it's very much the responsibility of the neighboring states of the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations to remain engaged, to sustain that engagement, to continue to send messages urging the use of non-lethal force and restraint, making sure that people are not being shot, and also calling for dialogue. I think that's the role that ASEAN is playing for now. In other words, it's not the key, but they have to remain engaged and they have to keep trying to look for a way to prevent further violence and bloodshed.
And how would you judge that engagement so far? I mean, we know that the ASEAN foreign ministers, for example, have met and they issued a statement, but that statement wasn't nearly as strong enough as perhaps expected. How do you think this engagement has progressed so far?
Well, I think the public statement that was made is not necessarily a reflection of what was said in the meeting. And I think, unusually, some member states in that meeting sent very direct messages to the representative of the military junta that came to the meeting, or, it was a virtual meeting that attended the meeting. And I think that's quite unusual as well, that very direct messages were sent. Now, I do know also that there was no real response from the Myanmar side to those messages, urging restraint, urging dialogue, expressing concern. So I think the public statement was very much meant to sort of preserve a sort of sense of calm. But inside that meeting, I think there were very direct messages sent, and that was the right thing to do. The problem is that not all the countries were doing that. So the 10-member grouping is now fairly divided amongst those who feel that it's the internal affair of Myanmar and they shouldn't interfere, and those that feel that they owe it to their citizens, to their constituency, and also to the Myanmar people to say something more direct.
But why is there this division? And that's the thing that I want to sort of get at. Why is there a division? Why can't these 10 nations speak with one voice on something that is clearly a violation of democratic principles?
Well, I think the short answer is that not all the countries are as firmly wedded and committed to democracy, in the same way. So in Thailand, you have a military government for all intents and purposes. Vietnam is a communist state. Cambodia is run by a fairly undemocratic strongman. Laos is a communist state. And so you immediately rule out some of those countries. And I think for the rest of them, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, I think also feel that because of their semi or mostly democratic systems, there is a responsibility. And more importantly, I think there's a sense in which this time round, there's a sense in which there's a feeling they should really adhere to a set of norms that are captured in a charter that was framed some years ago, particularly with respect to human rights and the preservation of life.
How do you see ASEAN's response shaping up in the coming weeks, given this division and given the role that key players, as you pointed out, might have to play?
Well, I think that those countries that feel that they should remain engaged and actively engaged will continue to do so, either together as a smaller grouping or as individual countries. And we've seen Indonesia very much take the lead. And I think that's very much for historical reasons. Indonesia has always been active on important regional issues, conducting shuttle diplomacy as the biggest country. And now, of course, as the one country that is more or less firmly democratic, I feel that there's also a moral obligation on the part of Indonesia to push for a peaceful outcome.
Right. We'll leave it there for the time being, but thank you so much for joining us. Michael Vatikiotis, Asia Director of the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue in Singapore. Thank you, sir.